Okay, so I have here a red-tailed hawk, and right now it's on the main stage, my drawing. I recommend doing a profile bird, but whatever you want. Be yourself. If you want to do like a frontal or like rear view bird, fine. But the profile view is a little bit easier, I find. So I have my bird. I'm gonna make the whole thing. Whoops. I'm gonna make the whole thing into a. So here's my photo. I made a new layer, traced on top. And you don't have to be, you don't have to be so exacting. You could just make it up. It doesn't matter. So I have it here on a layer. I'm going to select the whole thing, and using my drag and drop, and I'm going to right-click, convert to symbol, bird. Remember to make it a graphic symbol. I haven't really. I should go through the different characteristics of the various types of symbols. We'll only be using a graphic and perhaps a movie clip symbol. There are certain reasons why we do a movie clip, but the graphic symbol is the only one where the nested animation plays through on the main timeline. Nested animation. There's a whole theme here, right? Graphic. So do that. Once you have that established, double-click inside, and we'll get the wing flap going. You don't have to do this along with me if you're not ready, but I'll show you what I'm better to pay attention maybe for now. So if you want the wing to actually flap independent of the bird's body, the easiest way to do that is actually to separate it out onto its own layer within the symbol, right? I see that I'm within the symbol. I'm in scene 1 within bird. So I'm going to just select. I'm going to use my lasso tool to minutely select my wing. And I'm not drawing the back wing for this. I don't need to. It's actually going to be easier for me to create one wing that's in motion and then duplicate it. So I'm going to cut, and then I did a Control X. I'm sorry, Command X. So I did a Command X, cut, and then I created a new layer. And now I'm going to, it's cool when you paste, you can either paste in center or paste in place. So I'm going to paste in place so it still looks like a bird. And now I can actually have motion tweens within my symbol. Crazy. So you can do anything within your symbol that you can do on the main stage. And I'm just going to have one flap, I guess, be 2 seconds. So I'm just going to, let me turn this wing into a motion tween. And so the wing is going to become its own symbol. And I hope that doesn't get too confusing. And when I made it into a motion tween, it already gives it 1 second of animation. And I'm just going to make sure I want the body to remain during the whole animation. So I added a frame on the lower layer as well. So in case one gets confused, I never name my layers. And some of you will be more meticulous than I am. So I'm going to give it 2 seconds for the whole wing flap. And then it can be relatively simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just make it a simple kind of rotation or flipping of the wing. It's going to flip up and then flip back down. So I get the wing. I'm going to change the anchor point, just like with the tree, so that it's attached to the body of the bird, where the, not exactly where the arm bone will attach, but I'm going to do that. And so here at the midpoint, actually let me make sure that anchor point's there. And actually I'm just going to do this. I want it to go back down to its original position so it loops seamlessly. So I'm just going to kind of move this around a little at the end and put it back in place so it remembers a keyframe. See, it's created a keyframe here at the very end at 2 seconds. And now I can just flip this up. Boop. And just make it, just invert it. And look what happens. So this is an easy way to do it. It's not perfect. And you can do it if you want to. You could just do a frame-by-frame animation. You could even get a YouTube video and go through frame by frame and just draw the individual postures of the frame and actually try to do a more fluid thing like that if you care to. I would delight in that, but if you want to be a little speedier with it, this works. But what's the problem? I don't have the body's gone. So you're gonna have to account for that, and I'll just fix my drawing, make this go away for a minute, and then go back to my Wacom pen, and I can just decide what I want the body to be. I'm going to be really fast and loose here. Make sure I have the right layer selected, and then if I do that, and then do a little bit of a fill, whatever. So now, wait, what happened? Oh no, I messed up. And so now I just have to How did I mess that up? I keyframed it. Okay. Whatever. Now I just go back down. Or I could, if I don't trust myself to get the original state again, I can go back to here and copy properties and paste properties. And now I have my seamless loop. That color isn't great. Do that. Just give it some contrast. Whatever. So that's something. And now I can go back to my original scene. And I did that by just now I'm in scene 1 now. I can just double click on the gray area around my stage. And I'm going to give it, I'll have to decide how many seconds I want to allot to the bird being on the screen. I'm going to insert a frame here, and now you can play it through. Is it too slow? I mean, it's not necessarily how a hawk is going to fly. Customize it as you will. But what we want is some kind of animation within the symbol. A red-tailed hawk is more of a glider. Maybe, who knows? So we don't have to be perfect naturalists here. And so now I can just turn this into a motion tween and have it fly across the screen if I want to. And in my head, I'm playing the hawk sound. And you also want to create an arced motion. So it looks a little more like a swoop. That seems really slow for such a ferocious predator. So I do that. Another requirement of this, we're trying to remember what the best kind of attributes and the best possibilities that working with symbols affords us. And one of those is that we're able to easily replicate this again and again and again. And also to customize or particularize the instances of my hawk. So I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to create another hawk. And I can customize this guy by changing the size, the orientation, and even some of the colors by clicking on the color effect. Maybe he's more in the background, so I could lighten him up or darken him up. Depends on the time of day or whatever. And I can have him fly across the stage like the other. I don't know if the assignment is to create a flock. That's not maybe realistic for hawks, but we're going to pretend like it is. And I'm going to have him, maybe I don't want him to fly across the stage starting at the same moment. Whoops, I want to make him a motion tween as well. So let's have him start here after this guy's already begun his flight, and then he'll fly across. He'll start at 1 second, and he'll fly across in 4 seconds. And I'll also particularize this motion. Oops. You can actually move the motion path without changing the shape of it if you're using the free transform tool. If you just want to change the shape of it, it's the regular selection tool. So I'm going to have him come in a little bit later. And so he's like, he's particularized. He's the same type of fowl, but he's not flying exactly the same way. He's a little bit varied. And so we want 3 or more members of your flock. We also want, for this assignment, a background. And I want one additional kind of animation. I'll show you my example here of a completed piece. So I have like a translucent rectangle on the very top layer that I changed the color of, so it looks like it's going from, maybe the sun is rising in the morning, so I just make it more translucent via motion tween.
Can you put in the class page how to change the background again?
Yeah, how to change the background color, sure.
Yeah.
And in addition, I'll do that now, and then it'll be in this video tutorial. And in addition, I do want you to add one more thing. I'm sorry to drop so much on you, but it helps so much people think through the storytelling of the final project that I mean to introduce it as soon as possible. There's one final thing. You're going to do a background layer. So So you can put that in the background so that it stays back, and that can look like whatever you want it to look. It could be this color, whatever. Nighttime scene. And then one additional thing, and if you wanted to see how your animation is going to be framed, remember you have this this cropping tool. So if you turn that on, it becomes a lot prettier, right? Now it's like a scene through your camera's viewfinder, right? One additional cool thing that you can employ here that I want everyone to do for this assignment as well is the camera tool. It's going to really help you in terms of like being an important storytelling tool. Camera tool. You click on this, it seems off-putting at first. You get this little weird bar and everything. You can zoom or rotate with this slider. It gives you this camera layer. And like, what do I do with this? What you can do is you can like do zooms in and out of your scene, and you can also change the position by scrolling around. Now that could be a little awkward feeling. So, and you can actually animate camera movements the same way you animate a motion tween. I better put something in the background so it actually seems like I'm doing something. So let's put a hill in the background or something like that. No, I don't want to do that. Deselect. And then put a background hill in with some green. There we go. There's a hill or something. Okay. So let's go back to our camera tool. Here's my camera tool. I can actually turn my camera tool into a motion tween. So when I start my camera tool, it's like gray, as a normal layer would be with a normal keyframe. And I can just keyframe it normally, or I can create a motion tween. So now, when I click on my camera tool and use a tool, I can make smooth transitions like zooms or pans that can, that can be keyframed in as many keyframes as I want them to be. And this adds a level of like drama and dynamism to the way that you show your scene. This is probably the last thing you'll want to do. So not only are the hawks moving, but I have like some kind of panning camera. And I hope this doesn't get too complex or convoluted. But really think about this last, and just play around with it. You can also just erase it when you want to erase it and go back to where you were. Okay? So those are the steps. We want. Let's do 3 or more instances. I'm going to change it a little bit of the animals in your flock. So you're repeating the same symbol, but you're particularizing each instance via the arced motion path, and the coloring, scale, the way it's moving, whatever. So particularizing, making them unique, and so that motion should be arced in some way. It could be however you want to do it. It must be a background. And I'm changing, I haven't updated the actual blog post. And then there should be one more instance of an animated thing, like this is a ripple in a puddle, simple like frame by frame thing. Doesn't have to be a big deal, just to give it that kind of secondary action that kind of sets the scene. And then some camera tool. This isn't showing camera tool. I'll upload an example of this one that shows a camera tool employed. And that's the homework assignment. Completed. Okay.